This is KET, bringing Kentucky together. This is Channel 38, WKMR, Moorhead, Kentucky, and translator W10AR, Louisa, Kentucky.
There were three people that wanted very much to be here tonight, and they had legitimate and very valid reasons why they couldn't be. But I'd like to read very briefly, if you'll give me time. This is addressed to Dr. Singletary and Gloria. It said, "Please allow me to join others in paying tribute to you this evening. As you accept the Bert T. Combs Award, this is certainly a prestigious honor which you richly deserve. Libby and I are proud to join the others in saying thank you for the significant contributions you have made to Kentucky. Best wishes for a most enjoyable and memorable evening, and I think I speak for all in saying thank you and congratulations. Sincerely, Governor Brereton C. Jones." As Mayor Basler gotten here, he said he was going to come, but might be a little late, and has asked me to make a special presentation. Are you here yet, Governor? I mean, Mayor? Well, you never know. The Lexington Fayette County Urban County Government is honored to present this Distinguished Citizen Award to Dr. Otis A. Singletary in recognition of your contribution to the University of Kentucky and Lexington. Signed and sealed at Lexington, Kentucky, the 19th day of December, 1991. Signed by Scotty Basler, Mayor.
Well, I just think he was great for Kentucky and great for the university. He came at a time after the leadership of Dr. Oswald, and it was a time of great campus unrest. He pulled the university together. And I tell you, I talked to Ed Pritchett, from whom the Pritchett Committee on Education is named, and he says, thank goodness they selected Otis Singletary as president. At least he knows what a university is all about. And I think that says it. He did. And he and Gloria provided tremendous leadership and carried the university forward through some of its greatest years.
Research is the Arthritis Foundation's #1 national priority. The foundation has recently embarked upon a 5-year plan known as Focus 95, which has as its goal raising $16 million for arthritis research by 1996. Scientists supported by the Arthritis Foundation are looking for the causes of arthritis, ways to prevent it, and better methods to treat its many forms. Every year, the foundation funds ongoing research and the training of new scientists to conduct arthritis research. Research that over the years has provided better methods for the diagnosis and treatment of arthritis. For people with arthritis, these advances in research have helped relieve pain and reduce disability. The Kentucky chapter of the Arthritis Foundation was incorporated in 1951 and is affiliated with and chartered by the national organization. The Kentucky chapter is governed by an independent volunteer board of directors comprised of persons throughout our service territory, which includes 117 counties in Kentucky and 2 counties in southern Indiana.
If you look at the raw numbers from the Singletary years at UK, you see remarkable growth in the quality of the university, in the size of the university, in the impact of the university in every way. I think his lasting contribution was his personal integrity, which went over into everything he touched at the university, and also the enormous contribution he made to fundraising and charity directed toward the university. It is remarkable the legacy he created by many special projects, by personally seeking funds for the university, and in particular the Gluck Center, which is one project that stands out. Millions of dollars raised. Dr. Singletary pushed for that project from the first day he arrived in 1969 until its completion just a few years ago. And it is a tribute to his dedication to excellence and his deep commitment to creating at the university something special, something long-lasting.
Otis served as president of the University of Kentucky for some 18 years, during a period when the average tenure in that position was some 4, 5, maybe even 6 years. I believe he was able to achieve that record and to perform so well because he has a deep understanding of the nature of both the comprehensive university and the political environment in which it functions. Otis was and is at home in the classroom, the university president's office, the corporate room, the casual conversation, and in the political arenas. That balance of talents is rare and essential, and I think they account for the success that this UK president had for so many years. He served as national president of Phi Beta Kappa and still serves on the Senate of that body. He supported and worked actively with those involved in the development of the Lucille Parker Markey Cancer Center. It was his vision that led to the creation of the Center for the Arts that now very appropriately bears his name. He strongly supported the community college system within the University of Kentucky and fought many successful battles to retain that system within the university. The fact that the university has the Hillary J. Boone Faculty Center is another testament to his vision and determination that faculty and staff from across the university have a place to come together. Indeed, the university went through a period of remarkable growth and development in all of its aspects during the time that he was president.
I've been close to him and to his family since he's been here. I still serve on a couple of boards with Otis. Also, he has brought great fame to the Commonwealth by serving on corporation boards that have made donations to the University of Kentucky, but just because of Otis himself. And one tribute to him, of course, that he is president of the National Order of the Phi Beta Kappa, and is president now of that, and this is his last year, which is a great honor. I don't know of anyone from the state of Kentucky has ever been president of the National Order of Phi Beta Kappa. He's written many books. He's recognized throughout the entire world as one of the great educators, and we were very fortunate to having him here for 18 years.
Bear with me while I get glasses on these 54-year-old eyes that are sitting on top of this 18-year-old body. I've been told that an after-dinner speech should take no longer than it takes the average man to have sex. And in conclusion, let me say of all the accomplishments, and I'm going to toast him. I'd love to roast him. Of all the, as Charlie said, incidentally, Charlie Wethington, a great friend of mine, called me this afternoon, said, what are you going to say about Otis? You know, so I don't know what to say. You know, they've said toast and not roast. I'd love to roast him, and I don't know what to say. You know, it's easy to roast. I faxed him, you know, my talk. He just read it. You know, that's, you know, can't trust the president of the university, you know.
Incidentally, of all the accomplishments our honoree this evening has done, the one that has affected me most is the forced retirement of Off Rupp. Without that decision by Otis, my good friend Joe B. Hall would probably still be looking for a job. And we would never have been able to take these fabulous fishing and hunting trips that we've taken all over the world. So I commend him for that. Professor Cone writes in his history of the University of Kentucky, and let me quote, 1987, President Singletary, after 18 years in office, handed to his successor a university much improved over the one he came to in 1969, and one that showed momentum. New programs and improved old ones offered better educational opportunities to students, and heightened admission requirements ensured a student body better qualified to benefit from those opportunities, end of quote. While this tribute accurately, in my opinion, summarizes the Singletary administration, particularly as it relates to educational opportunities for students, which is the most important function of any educational institution, it does not do proper justice to all of Dr. Singletary's accomplishments, nor does it reflect the adversities he had to overcome to attain them. As a 4-year member of the University Board of Trustees, as an 8-year member of the Council on Higher Education, as a 10-year member of the General Assembly before any of that, I have had an opportunity to observe and work with Otis Singletary since basically the day he arrived in Kentucky.
Well, if we hadn't had a very strong board and a strong governor at a period of great campus unrest, there could have been forces in Kentucky that would have wanted a reactionary president, a man riding on horseback who was strong in their opinion, but could have done great damage to an open liberal institution like any university should be. He did an outstanding job of guiding the university through that period. And he had a strong board that supported him. And as a result, we did not have a period of reaction. We had a period of action and leadership at the university, which was very important to our state and to the university.
In his first year as president, somebody tried to burn the campus down, and the university wouldn't give them money to fight the fire. The tensions from the Vietnam War era demonstrations exploded in the immediate aftermath of the Kent State tragedy, and a delicate situation at UK occurred. I was specifically remember that, particularly when the National Guard was called in. The demonstrations culminating in the burning of the ROTC building presented a dangerous situation. The diplomacy of Otis Singletary restored, or Louis tried to take credit for this, but I know Otis did, restored order more quickly than anyone ever thought possible. And in the period that followed, you will remember, included other demonstrations over subjects such as the free university. Students and faculty were granted enhanced roles in a reorganized university structure. Stability.
So it is my privilege to present to you the Honorable Julia K. Tack to speak on behalf of this occasion.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Combs and Governor Breathitt and our honored guests and friends of the foundation. I thought it was interesting that they put me between Terry and Larry, and at least I've got honorable before my name. But in any event, I guess there's a little symmetry there or something. It's always fun to be around lawyers, you know. I know Otis. It's funny we're talking about when did you first know Otis. I actually was a student when Otis Singletary came to the university, and but I heard that he was coming. I had a family friend that was in Texas at the University of Texas Law School, wrote me a letter and said, Otis is coming to Kentucky. You're going to really like this man. And I thought that was so interesting. I guess I was probably about 20 or 21 when I received that letter, and by the time I got to law school, he was there.
His contribution in the junior college community college area, I think, will probably go down as one of his greatest accomplishments. He kept all this together, and several times during his tenure there were political moves to remove the community college system from the university system, but I think it's worked out very well for the university and for the Commonwealth particularly. So I'd say that area was outstanding. And the other is that he's the one that established and raised so much private money. I'd say during his tenure he raised over $200 million. I think that's made the difference between a good university and a great university.
Since I am not a psychoanalyst, and since our subject this evening would never sit still for that, even if I were, I can only use my personal associations over 24 years to define the essential character of Otis A. Singletary. As with Mr. McBrayer, I have seen him as a state budget director. I have seen him as a vice president on his staff. I have seen him as a member of council on higher education when he felt, Mr. Sturgill, as I'm sure you recall, that I was his lapdog thereon. And as a member of the Board of Trustees of the University of Kentucky, and as a longtime advisee, because I have gone to him with my problems for years. And based upon my 24 years association with, it is my assessment that the word that best describes Otis A. Singletary is curmudgeon. Not a simple curmudgeon, a full-length, towering, world-class, unparalleled, eternal, infernal, but courtly curmudgeon. And in the unlikely event there are any of you here who are not familiar with that word, let me give you a dictionary definition. Some dictionaries define a curmudgeon in the ancient way. As a churlish, irascible fellow, one dictionary says the ancient definition is a cantankerous old codger. The origin of the word is either Scots, meaning to murmur, mumble, to mutter, or the French definition of the word in the ancient sense is restless soul, coeur merchant, curmudgeon. But Otis is not that kind of curmudgeon. He fits the modern definition of a curmudgeon. Webster today defines it as, quote, anyone who hates hypocrisy and pretense and has the temerity to say so with whiplash wit and sardonic humor, i.e., anyone with the habit of pointing out unpleasant facts in an engaging, slashing, and witty fashion. That, friends, is a curmudgeon by definition. This, friends, is a curmudgeon by personality.
I worked directly for Otis when he was president of UK, and I was chancellor of the community college system, I guess from about 1981 until Otis retired in 1987. Otis was an excellent boss. He was a good man to work for. You always knew where you stood with him. You could always get decisions from him. He provided strong leadership during his entire career at the University of Kentucky.
I want to tell you just one story. It's a true story. I believe the worst trip, I know it's the worst trip I ever made in 38 plus years with the Kentucky football or basketball team. I think it's the worst trip I ever made in my life. It was Christmas Eve, 1983. And some fast-talking dude at the University of Illinois had talked somebody here at Kentucky into moving a basketball game. Illinois was going to the Rose Bowl, and they said, we won't have anybody if we play around the first of the year, so how about coming up and playing Christmas Eve? I never did know who accepted that suggestion, and I hope I never do. I might do terrible damage to him. I know it wasn't Dr. Singletary. So we took off in the old DC-3, Purdue Airlines charter plane out there the day before. We got up on Christmas Eve, 11 inches of snow covered the ground. The temperature stood at 13 below zero. And as the day went along, the wind came up, the temperature went down. It was a horrible day. Well, we got out to the gym to play Illinois a basketball game on Christmas Eve in Champaign, Illinois. The officials, a little smarter than the rest of us, sent word they couldn't get there. They drafted 2 high school officials out of the audience. This is a true story, isn't it, Otis? And from the university, they borrowed striped shirts and the whistles and a pair of sneakers, and they worked the game in their jeans or blue jeans. They did a pretty good job, better than I think the other fellows if they'd come on in. James Blackman hit the last shot of the game in Kentucky, won it. We're getting ready to go out and get on the plane because it was an afternoon game and it's still not going to be too bad, and we get word that that DC-3 ain't about to start. That sucker is dead on the runway and they can't get anything in to start it. So they dropped us off at a fast food restaurant and they finally scrounged up a bus. And on Christmas Eve, 1983, we rode a bus all night from Champaign, Illinois to Lexington. And there had to be one of us standing up by the driver all the time because the defroster wouldn't take care of that windshield. And I sat with Otis for the trip and I said, Otis, what in hell are you doing on this trip, the head of the university? He said, well, if you've noticed, nobody is here representing the university except the coaches and the players, and somebody ought to go along. A lot of players, out-of-state players, had expected to be back in Lexington in time to catch planes to go home for Christmas. But that was all shot with the bus ride. And when we got off the bus the next morning, which was Christmas morning by then, he thanked the players for making the trip and representing the university. And he said, if any of you do not have a place to eat Christmas dinner, if you don't have plans already to eat with someone else, Gloria and I would like to share our Christmas dinner with you. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, that's class. But Otis Singletary is class. And I'm proud to be here tonight. Thank you. A lovely lady who graced Bert Combs' life as he graced hers, Sara Walter Combs. It's my privilege, ladies and gentlemen, to present to you this lovely lady.
It's so kind of you to greet me in such a lovely fashion. As you might suspect, it's a very strange role for me to attempt to fill the shoes of someone whom I observed from a distance for years with so much pleasure. And tonight, as I listened to the comments of Larry Forgy and Judge Tackett and the various speakers who were eloquent and so perfect, I thought, and I used to bask in the appropriateness of the repartee in which he would have engaged had he been called up next, and I thought, and how inadequate I will be to try to fill his shoes. And indeed I am, but I'm glad to be here in spite of the fact that I'm not quite up to that task. The presence of so many friends who've been close to us in the last few days and who were close to us long before is a great encouragement, and I thank you all for the kindness and the dedication you've shown to Judge, as I always call him, and to Otis Singletary, who is his best friend and someone whom he admired a great deal. I don't think that Ned Breathitt is filling in his second best. I think he's holding his own first class tonight. The nature of this occasion was one that particularly captured my husband's imagination and really his spirit, his sensitivity. He had a great weakness, which he was not quick to show publicly, for any creature or any cause that needed protection, whether it was a retarded child or a foal that didn't have much of a chance of survival, or a person in need of an education or a job or help with a health problem, and this arthritis problem particularly, I think, because he became such a close and devoted friend of my father who suffered from arthritis severely. And so when Larry Baird asked him this summer if he would host this occasion, I wasn't totally surprised when he responded with some enthusiasm, yes. I think it's particularly fitting that this was his last major commitment of a very active and fulfilling year of his life, perhaps the best year of the 13 years that we shared together. And I think that it's very fitting that the award is named for this one man who epitomized the qualities of one who continues to epitomize those qualities: intellectual honesty, mental alacrity, and a tremendous sense of humor. The Bert T. Combs Award to Otis A. Singletary. And it's my pleasure to unveil this without touching it and messing it up. And I award it and stop at this point. And thank you.
Job and that effort and that particular enterprise does something for you that lets you know that your work is really significant, not because of what you do, but the significance of the forces at play. And it's significant in the sense that at least you have the opportunity to have some impact, some effect on human conduct. That's no mean reward. And I say again, I can't imagine ever having wanted to do anything else but that. And in those years and in that particular place, I came to appreciate what Carl Jaspers meant when he said the university, the modern university, is just the great pumping heart of this society. And that's true. Aside from the family and aside from the work, I want to take this opportunity to say also how much I've appreciated the friendships that have tolerated, supported, and allowed me to consider myself a most fortunate man. A lot of memories here tonight, a lot of ghosts parading around out here. A lot of good times and a lot of bad times. But I wouldn't have missed it for the world. And I guess before this voice gives out completely, I just want to say, I don't know what else a doddering 70-year-old can say when you give him a night like this, except thank you very much.
What did you think of the program you just saw? KE would like your comments and would invite you to call our 24-hour toll-free reaction line. Record your message at 1-800-926-7765 and let us know what you think about programs on KET.
I used to play with matches and played with lighters and set things on fire.
Did you kids think you might have to go somewhere else?
Well, I wasn't really worried about that. I just didn't want to leave.